I love reading and analysing literature. Since 2019, I've run Snowy Fictions, a blog all about books. My best marks from university were related to culture, books, art and film. I'm also an avid writer who'd like to be published someday. Of course, I enjoy the company of like-minded readers and writers. But I've noticed something. The current state of literary analysis has devolved into screeching about problematic passages in books and treating the classical literary canon as something irrelevant or nasty. In fact, the phrase, "this book is problematic," is uttered so often on BookTube and in English literature seminars that I must ask, what's wrong with problematic literature? In this video, I will give my opinion on why authors are allowed, and probably should, write problematic books. First, what does problematic even mean? The word is quite straightforward. Problematic means there are problems. Well, okay. But what does problematic literature mean? I imagine there's a difference between literature depicting or exploring problems and literature that is a problem. The issue with current literary debates is that it's almost always the latter. Recently, a romance author made a light-hearted reference and joke towards Anne Frank. A reader called it anti-Semitic, and the author adjusted the original manuscript. From this, we can deduct the problematic nature of the book was the text itself. If a character happens to say something off-coloured or is politically incorrect, that is not the fault of the character, but the author's problem. Literature, it seems, can't have characters who think against the current orthodoxy. Characters must be pure angels or something boring. I can't keep up with the criteria permitted, but really, go out and talk to anyone. People are flawed, and everyone, at some stage of their lives, will cause offence to someone else. Literature needs characters who reflect or comment on reality. And a politically correct bimbo does not make great literature. There's probably a nicer way I could phrase that sentiment, but it's vital I convey the complexity behind each human being. My issue with sensitivity readers and scanning literature for problematic elements is the elimination of any nuance or humanity. To be problematic is to be human. Literature ought to reflect that, because to do otherwise is an act of dishonesty and propaganda. One may not like Anne Frank jokes and be offended by them, but this dislike won't change people making them. It is wrong to censor literature based on principles of purity. Authors should depict humanity as they see it, not what someone else thinks they should be. One of my favourite authors, Cormac McCarthy, is well known for his gritty depiction of humanity. If you've ever read Blood Meridian, you'll understand how violent and debased parts are. And yes, characters use racial slurs, but all are necessary. Without them, Cormac McCarthy can't fully express his dark meditation on human nature. More than that, I'm worried authors are now responsible for their characters' actions, words and thoughts. Just because a character says something sexist doesn't mean the author himself is sexist. Characters are supposed to be multifaceted, complex human beings with flaws. As the cliche goes, depiction is not endorsement. It is incredibly silly to believe that an author's character is the same as the character themselves. Second, look closer at the literature deemed problematic. What does it reveal? One can object to publishing American Psycho due to the depraved violence, but it won't change the existence of serial killers like Patrick Bateman and those who think like him. One reason why I read so much is to get inside the minds of people not like me. Great literature challenges, it confronts, it startles, It's gutsy and evocative. When we disparage literary works for so-called problematic reasons, we are arguing that literature ought to be safe and pedestrian, dull and unmoving, with no grit or energy. The great writers in history, from Alexander Solzhenitsyn to James Joyce, were not the darlings of political correctness. And thank God for that, because no one wants to read the sensitivity reader version of the Gulag Archipelago. Literally no one. Of course, those who encourage calling literature problematic are quick to mock a Christian or a Republican voter when they are offended. Many people have this attitude that offence against others or disliked groups is okay, but offence against themselves or special groups is akin to blasphemy. I see this with the hypocrisy over Banned Books Week. So many readers, writers, and publishers are quick to condemn a library for not having an LGBT book. But when a library or bookstore drops Abigail Shrie's Irreversible Damage, then, well, we get crickets from the self-righteous. It takes strength and true love for freedom to understand the importance of artistic expression for both enemies and friends alike. We need writers who aren't afraid of writing problematic literature, who can explore how humans tick, writers who explore the genuine flaws inside every human heart. Humans are not angels, nor are we demons. As Oscar Wilde, the brilliant Irish writer, says, "There is no such thing as a moral or an immoral book. Books are well written or badly written." Literature should make us think and feel things, and the censorious behaviour I currently see does not allow for that. Let's break the binary dividing literature between problematic and non-problematic, and therefore safe. Let's read books for what they are. Deep dives into the human soul. To end this video, I have some exciting news. Every year, the Tolkien Society gather and present papers on the father of epic fantasy, J.R.R. Tolkien himself. This year, the theme is diversity, which has caused quite the stir among Middle-earth fans, like myself. In response, I'm giving a presentation at another group, the Society of Tolkien, at the end of next week. Please check it out. I'm very excited to present my thoughts on Gollum and Old English in particular. The link is below. Thank you for watching,